Hello and welcome to HITC Sevens for what is an unusual video for unusual times. Now, obviously, you are typically only used to seeing me talk about football on the channel, but for this episode of Ask Me Anything, I put it to you to ask me questions only about topics other than football. Fair few people didn't follow that sort of category, which was quite broad of questions, and still asked me questions about football. Some of them were great questions, but I'm going to be sticking to what I originally said. So in future editions, if you still want to ask me those questions once football is back on the table, then please do go ahead. Anyhow, yeah, there's very little football on our screens at the moment, and football almost seems like an afterthought. So I thought, just as a one-off, I would talk a little bit about some other topics. And with that in mind, an apt first question from Logan, who asks, are there any changes in your routine with the blanked virus/lockdown now? I've just blanked that because I believe YouTube was, I don't know if they still are, demonetizing or deleting videos that mention the actual name of the virus. So my routine has not changed a great deal, if I'm honest with you. There are probably few people whose lives have changed less in the case of a lockdown. So I work from home anyway, so I it's not that unusual for me to go 5 or 6 days without seeing outside of the house. Normally I would be playing football once a week, watching football at Hull City, at the stadium once or at least every other week, and probably seeing my friends once a week. I'm not doing that at the moment, but no, to be honest, to me, it's been a minimal change. To some of you, it will have been an enormous change, and some people will be out of work and having really terrible situations. So obviously, I wish all of our subscribers and everybody else, for that matter, the best during what is a pretty terrible time for some people. But yeah, for me, it's been business as usual, and for that, I'm very fortunate and grateful. Okay, the second question from Council Estate Warrior is, if you were a player, would you be eligible to play for any other nations except for England? And the answer to that, as far as I know, is no. My parents are both English, and I was born in England, so unless I were to move to another country and become a citizen, then no, I couldn't. I did an ancestry DNA test which said I was 20% Norwegian, but obviously that wouldn't meet FIFA's criteria for me representing Norway. The next question that I have here is from Manny, and Manny asks, in most of your videos you have said you like history. What is your favourite historical time period? Good question. I do like history. I don't profess to be an expert on anything, but probably my favourite period would be the ancient Greece, I would say. I find interesting just how sort of arts and mathematics and philosophy and general academia seem to sort of spring up quite randomly. I find that quite interesting. Also, both world wars, I've read a fair bit about them, but yeah, I don't profess to be an expert, but there are a few historical time periods that are of interest to me. Next up, we have a question from LPR Gedes, I'm not sure. Which non-footballing athlete do you admire most, and why? Another good question. I should probably prepare for these videos, but I don't have the time. So off the top of my head, I guess Muhammad Ali seems a bit almost cliche as an answer. So maybe Niki Lauda. If you call F1 drivers athletes, I would personally. For those of you who don't know, Niki Lauda had a terrible crash in which he was really severely burnt I believe they thought he was going to die at one point in the hospital. It was that severe. I think that was in 1976, definitely around that time. He only missed 2 races, I think. Came back, won the Formula One championship twice after that, including just a year later. And he sadly passed away last year. But yeah, I admire that. That's pretty extraordinary. I'm probably missing some obvious ones, but yeah, those would be a couple off the top of my head in terms of non-footballing athletes. Following that, we have a question from Dan Jones on Twitter, who asks, what non-Neil Franklin related books are you looking forward to reading in the next few weeks? Good question. What books? Well, you can probably, I don't know if it's in shot, you can see I've got a few books here, a lot of them I haven't read yet. A couple that I would like to read are Principles, I think it's called, by Ray Dalio. Need to buy that. And also Stuart Lee brought a book out last year, which I would like to read. So yeah, those are a couple if I find the time. I set a target of reading a certain amount of books this year, and I'm lagging a long way behind that target. But yeah, thank you for that question. I believe I have a similar question, book related. Yes, I read your book on Franklin and it was great, but it got me wondering, are you planning on writing any more books, either about obscure footballing greats or on a different topic altogether? Well, again, to both of those messages, thank you for mentioning the Neil Franklin book, a free plug there. I can go further with the promotion there. England's Greatest Defender. For any of you who are new to the channel and haven't heard me plug it, you must be very new. Yeah, am I planning on writing another book? I would love to, but short term, I would say it's very unlikely. I'm at the moment working quite long hours, and to do that book cost me considerable time and money, which hopefully I will recoup some of. But yeah, maybe one day. I have like 4 or 5, they're all football based ideas that I'd love to write books about. But as with the Neil Franklin book, they are a little obscure, and it might be hard to convince one of the big publishing houses that it is commercially viable. But yeah, I'd love to, but short term, no. Next up, we have a question from Ambient Bird, also on Twitter, who asks, growing up, what was your dream job? Can't imagine full-time YouTuber was the first choice, lol, but was there anything other than football writing you were interested in? Yeah, YouTuber, you're right in assuming, wasn't my first thought. I don't even know when YouTube started, probably 2005, was it? Mid-2000s. Anyway, yeah, that wasn't a thought. I don't think that became something that people talked about as a job until maybe the last 5 years. So I can't even remember a time when I wanted to be a footballer. I think I knew from very early on that I wasn't good enough to be a footballer. I wasn't useless, totally useless, but I wasn't. There were kids that were a lot better than me. So yeah, from quite early on, I thought I would maybe write about football. I always was half decent at English, so I thought I'd be a journalist of some kind. Then there was a period, maybe around GCSE time, where I got really into philosophy, and I thought maybe I could go down that route and be some kind of author, thinker, or I don't know, a university professor or something in philosophy. But as with football, I realised I wasn't good enough at that. I wasn't clever enough to probably come up with anything groundbreaking in the field or anything. And then I just sort of muddled along and ended up doing this, which isn't the end of the world. But no, it wasn't my first thought, and yeah, wasn't good enough to play football, wasn't clever enough to write about anything other than football. So here I am. And the next question, moving swiftly on, is from Louis, who asks, what's your favourite country that you've ever been to? And crikey. Another good question. I like America. I've been to America a few times, a few different places. I have been to, well, the question wasn't where have you been, it was where's your favourite. Last year I went to Mykonos, and that was fantastic. Really enjoyed that. That's probably my favourite holiday, or the nicest hotel at least that I've been to. Isn't a country, clearly, is it? It's a Greek island, but yeah, I love all the Greek islands. I love France. I love the south of France. I've been there a couple of times. So yeah, and Jamaica. I've been to Jamaica twice, and I know I have some Jamaican subscribers, so they would forgive me if I didn't throw them into the mix. Next up, I'll try to be a bit quicker. Andrew C asks, what's your favourite film? And he adds that his is Jurassic Park. My favourite film is possibly The Life of Brian, Monty Python film. And I love The Big Lebowski. Lots of other ones. Those are two that, probably the two films that I've watched the most frequently. Ones that I tend to go back and watch. Next up, from another one from Twitter, from Nicholas. He asks, what's your favourite brand of clothing? Well, fantastic question, Nicholas, because that gives me a chance to easily plug what I'm currently wearing, which, as you can see, this is Trojan Records. Scar and Soul is the overarching company name if you want to check it out, and I am promoting that not because there's any incentive in it for me, but that is my dad's business. He makes clothes, and I mostly wear his clothes because I get them for Christmas presents and birthdays for free. I tend not to buy my own clothes, but yeah, if you like them, the company name is Scar and Soul. After that, we have a question from Nikolai, also on Twitter, who asks, why are you considered a musical artist on Google, specifically a dance electronic artist? Have you been hiding anything from us? Yeah, I get asked this a little bit. If you Google Alfie Potsama, it comes up that, that I am a dance or electronic music artist. There's nothing I'm hiding. I think one of my friends has set that mischievously. I think I know which one. I haven't put it to them whether that's the case. I did ask Google if they would change it, but they didn't, and I'm not going to chase them up for too long. It also says I'm an author, so that's alright. But yeah, for some reason it says that I have no musical prowess, and if I did, it wouldn't be in the dance or electronic space, I don't think. But yeah, thanks for asking, Nikolai, and the answer is no. Next up is a question from That Other Drummer, who says, hey, my name is Alfie too. For my question, are you into much music? And if so, what bands/genres do you like the most? Well, staying on a musical theme. I do like music, even though, to reiterate, I am not a music artist. My favourite artist is Bob Dylan. I'd say probably somewhere between 80 to 90% of all the music I listen to is Bob Dylan. Other than Dylan, I like Nina Simone. I like old blues artists like Blind Willie McTell and people like that. But yeah, predominantly Bob Dylan. Next up is another question from, oh, I've already done that question. Fantastic. What an idiot. Okay, Joe asks on YouTube, are you in a relationship that you are ready to share with us and comfortable with doing so? In brackets, thanks for the great content. Close brackets. You're welcome, Joe. The question almost implies that I'm in a relationship that I would not be comfortable with sharing. I do have a girlfriend. Quite a few people asked about whether I'm in a relationship, so I thought include one question about that. I live with my girlfriend, have done for approaching 2 years now in the house that you see in these videos. So yeah, that's that answered. The next question from Alex, who says, "Congrats, Alfie. What TV shows do you recommend?" I haven't watched a great amount of TV recently, but I enjoyed the Chernobyl series. A lot of you, I'm sure, have already seen that. I have, there is, if you're into true crime, sort of informative murder porn, as it's called in South Park, The Jinx, some of you might have watched, particularly the last episode of that. If you watched it, you'll know what I mean. But yeah, no, there's loads of things. Mostly, if I'm watching TV, it'll be on Netflix, and I'm sure I'm missing lots. But yeah, those are two that I can say. If you haven't watched them, I'd say they're worth a watch. Following on from Alex's question, there is a question from the unknown Liverpool fan Jones, who asks, "What was your favourite non-football related sport at school? PS, you look like Tom Davies." Well, thank you. Yes, it has been pointed out. I'm not sure I do, but he does have long hair. So yeah, my favourite sport other than football at school would be tennis. I enjoyed playing tennis. Didn't mind playing cricket, especially fielding if it was sunny. That was sort of just sunbathing. Didn't enjoy rugby. Lots of people asked other questions about rugby. Yeah, no problems watching it. I did not enjoy playing it remotely. I quite enjoy cross country, which is probably unusual on that front. Played hockey, that was okay-ish, but yeah, no, tennis would be my favourite other than football. And just, I almost played no football at school because the school that I went to didn't have a football team, and you basically played football only once you got to 14 or 15 if you weren't very good at rugby. Sort of the reverse of how it happens at most schools, I think. Next question after that one is from another Logan, who says, "Alfie, thank you for your videos. My question is, how are you holding up?" Well, thank you for saying thank you for your videos. You're very welcome. I'm good. Thanks for asking. As I said with the first question, my life hasn't changed a great deal with the current situation, if that's what Logan was alluding to. So yeah, I'm fine. I'm a little bit worried about some of my family, older family members, that type of thing, as I'm sure everyone else is in a similar boat. I can't go visit my grandma at the moment because she's in a care home, and rightly they have banned visitors. But yeah, fingers crossed it will pass, and everyone close to me and everyone watching will, or as many people as possible, will get through it with no problems. But yeah, I'm fine personally. Thank you for asking. Next up is a question from Jaime Garcia, who says, who are your favourite YouTubers? There were lots of questions like this actually. Who do you subscribe to? Whose videos do you watch? I don't get a great amount of time to watch that many other YouTube channels. I don't watch many football YouTube channels. I sometimes see the Irish guy's videos if he's wearing a ridiculously tight Hull City shirt and impersonating me. But yeah, not a lot. Some of the channels that I do sometimes see are finance channels. Some of them, like CNBC types, and there's a couple of Australian YouTubers who I sometimes watch talking about things like the markets. A bit strange, but yeah, that's what I sometimes listen to whilst I'm sort of harvesting images for videos. I listen to the odd podcast. I listen to the Peter Crouch podcast. If you haven't listened to that and you like HITC Sevens, you'll probably enjoy that. I think what I'm doing is called Passing the Pod, as they call it, so hopefully they'll appreciate that. But yeah, I probably don't have a favourite YouTuber, but yeah, I listen to some finance ones, watch some of their videos, and I enjoy that podcast. After that, we have a question from from Max FIFA, who says, I assume that's not his actual name. What's your favourite television show? Okay, assuming that's sort of separate to the series question or the film question that I had earlier. My favourite TV show, like a recurring show, would be South Park. I like South Park. Yeah. Next up, a few quickfire ones there. Next up is a question from Chris, who says, congratulations. In that spirit, what achievement of yours, preferably non-related to YouTube, are you most proud of and why? Tell us a story. Well, I won't bore you with too much of a story, Chris, but I'm probably most proud, career-wise. I won an award quite soon after I'd started, when I set up my own website. It's up there, actually. There is my, I know, it's not quite a Golden Globe, but I got an award as the best young football blogger. It was a Judge's Choice Award, so it was chosen by journalists for some of the big newspapers. So I was quite proud of that, just because my family seemed to think that was great. I guess it's sort of, they probably didn't really know what I was doing, and maybe that made them think, oh, this is actually sort of a job, writing about football. And also it opened up job opportunities for me, which for anyone in the space knows is incredibly difficult. So yeah, that was an achievement of sorts. And also having my book published, seeing, holding it and my name on it and it being a proper book, that was an achievement of sorts. But yeah, no, hopefully the best is still to come. Next up is a question from Rhys Quirk. Maybe a quirky question from Rhys. It is indeed. He asks, do you believe in aliens? Just thought it would be a random question to ask. It is a random question. You're correct, Rhys. Aliens is, as far as I know, not a sort of scientific term for, presumably by aliens, Rhys, you mean an intelligent life form, extraterrestrial, from another planet or galaxy or what have you. I tend to think that statistically it is highly likely that there will be some other form of intelligent life elsewhere that probably haven't yet visited us. Another book recommendation. I'm following the lead there of Stephen Hawking, who I'd say probably just edges it in terms of knowledge in this space over myself. He posits that it's likely and that they've probably just missed us. But he is of the opinion that we shouldn't be so keen to interact with extraterrestrials because if they have mastered exploring multiple planets, they're probably so far advanced of us that they'd either sort of enslave us or just remove us and colonize Earth. So yeah, long story short, yes, I think it's very likely. Next up is a question not about aliens, and this is from Nick Turk, who says, what do your family think of your success? Do they watch all your videos? Well, Nick, it's very kind of you to say my success. Not sure everyone would characterise it as success, but yes. What do they think of it? I don't know, really. I don't think my mum really knows what I do, to be honest with you. I'm not sure. Oh, she's watched one of my videos, actually. She saw the most viewed one. You might remember, with Steve Freeze, the penguin. So yeah, she's only seen the really quality content. My dad knows what I do. He's into football, but he doesn't really watch. He watches the ones like this to camera, which I've only done 3 or 4 of. So I'll probably see this. Hopefully you'll see me having plugged his clothes. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think most parents just want to be able to put their kid in a box marked doing all right, and you know, I'm no longer dependent on them, so I guess they're probably pleased about that. But yeah, I think they're more pleased about the book, because that's sort of something you can see and hold, and you get, oh, he's written a book and it's been published. But yes, what do they think of it? I think they're reasonably pleased. And do they watch all your videos? No. Here's the answer. Coming up to that, I'm on the penultimate question, I think. This is from Joe Mudd, who asks, what did you study at GCSE, and did you take A-levels? And if yes, what ones? I did do GCSEs and A-levels. I cannot remember what subjects I did at GCSE. All of them, pretty much. How much choice do you have? I can't even remember, really. So I did, English, maths, the 3 sciences, history, French. A-levels, I did English literature, English language, and history. I wanted to do politics, but apparently you couldn't do politics and English language, which seems silly to me. Apparently they overlapped in terms of teaching time or some kind of scheduling issue. Anyway, yeah, those are the 3 subjects that I did at A-level, and I didn't do much work at school, I'll just be honest. If any of you are watching and are still in school, give it a good go, because it'll give you more opportunities if you end up wanting to go to university, which thankfully I didn't. And the last question that I've got saved, I'll see how long this is, and I might add a few more if necessary, is from Sam, who asks, has there been any moment where you contemplated your choice to go down the YouTube route? Every day. No, I don't know. I don't really think about that too much, but no, I think I enjoy it. It's the benefit is that a lot of people do actually watch my videos. Not this one, of course, but the other ones. Quite a lot of people watch them. I've almost had 100 million views now on YouTube, which is bizarre. And if I was just writing articles and putting my opinions across that way, not that many people would have read them. I don't think. So, no, I don't regret it. I joke about it, but I enjoy it. And even if I did sort of have second thoughts, I've got all you amazing subscribers, so how could I ever stop at this stage? Right, that's it for today's video. If you're wondering why it has ended quite so abruptly, the camera ran out of battery. So, but yeah, it's 27 minutes long, so I'm not sure any of you would want it to go on for much longer anyway. Thank you all for watching. Do give us a like if you enjoyed the video, and obviously make sure you are subscribed to HITC Sevens, but more importantly, make sure you are staying safe at the moment.